Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About It. And today we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship a better way. But first, let me introduce my special guest, Tiffanie Artis. Hey, how you doing, Tiffanie?
Hello, everyone. Nice to see everybody.
Now, let me share a story. The way I know Tiffanie is that me and her, we're part of a business networking group called The Tip. It's located in Freehold, New Jersey. We have about over 100 something members, and we meet on every Thursday morning to just build relationships and network and share referrals. So when you become part of the group, you get an opportunity to really, talk and share your story about what you do and how you do it and how you became your entrepreneurship journey. So Tiffanie had an opportunity to speak. She shared her story. I was inspired. I said, I want to be like her when I grow up. So I said, no, Tiffanie, you got to come on my show so we can talk about, entrepreneurship and why you got started. Because I believe that there may be somebody out there that's thinking about starting a business, but may have some reasons why not. But hopefully we can inspire somebody today. So, Tiffanie, if you can, just share your background, where you're from, how you got into entrepreneurship.
Okay, so I am actually from Illinois. I grew up in the north suburbs of Chicago, and my parents and grandparents were educators. So I thought I was going to be a teacher. And then I went to college and realized that teachers didn't make a whole lot of money. So I ended up in the business track and got a undergrad degree in accounting.
Hold on a second. Let me share a quick story. Right, I met years ago. I met a young guy, right, and he said, well, his dream was to be a teacher. He said, know what? If I can just live my dream, I'll be happy. I said, no, you won't. I said, if you don't have enough money to pay for the lifestyle that you want, you won't be that happy. Trust me. But go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And so I went to, I got an accounting degree and got out there and started working. At one point, I had an opportunity to get my master's in taxation and be like a professor or to go get a job. And at that time, so you'll love this story. At that time, the job that I got offered paid $31,500. It was more than anybody else was making. And my mother said, you better go get that job. So the rest, they say, is history. Long ago was being an educator, and that was that. I still ended up in the education track, but on the entrepreneur side. I'll talk about that in a minute. So then I worked a few years and then decided to go back to school and get my MBA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I got my MBA in International Strategic Marketing from Indiana University. And I ended up in marketing, brand management, global brand management, beauty marketing, products, consumer product goods, and loved it for 25 years and worked for a lot of major corporations. So Unilever, Procter & Gamble, Avon, you name it, I've done it. I've represented all kinds of brands. So, and traveled the world with brands that I worked on and managed and loved. Did a lot of advertising shoots and worked with a lot of celebrities. It was a great career. And then after about 25 years of doing that and moving up and got very high up in the field, it changed. And what I mean by that is you could see the writing on the wall that they were going to, one, start paying people who are much younger than me a lot less money, even though they weren't necessarily as skilled, but they could get a fancy title for probably half of what they paid me. Mm-hmm. So I tended to jump. So my last role was with a company where I was stretching myself, moving from beauty marketing into, it was logistics. So I worked for a logistics company and it just wasn't a good fit. So anyway, once I got downside at that point, this was in 2018, my husband and I were like, okay, do I want to get back in the workforce, back on the hopper. At that time, now my life has changed. I now have a baby, 1 year old. Even though I lived in New Jersey, most of the jobs that I was looking at were in New York. So changing, dramatic lifestyle change if I really wanted to get back in there. And of course, as I said, I traveled the world. It meant every job that I had, particularly since they were global jobs, I would be traveling. So I really made the change because we wanted a different lifestyle for our family. And so, they say God takes care of babies and fools. So we were like, okay, well, I guess this is the chance or the time for us to buy our first business. Part of being an entrepreneur is understanding where you need to be. And there were a couple of things that we were looking for. One, we couldn't do a startup because we needed to replace income. I already said, where I was. So we needed something that from day one we could make money. We didn't have time to be able to start something from scratch, to grow and develop it. We needed something from day one that could take the skills that we had. My husband is in sales. I was in marketing.
Okay.
To grow and develop, but it needed to have a starting base. And so I did a lot of research. I read a lot of Harvard business reviews and books to say, well, what makes sense to buy the right business? And what they said was, it doesn't have to be sexy. Doesn't have to be a field that you know. You just need to be able to go in and sell it.
That's the number one goal.
That's it, right? Good margin, and a way that is not cyclical, meaning that whatever kind of sales you have aren't, up and down, that they at least have some kind of sales, So that left out, what they say, like ice cream. Ice cream is huge in the summer and dies in the winter, particularly around us. So I knew I wasn't going to buy into a Dairy Queen. I'll just say that. So this job, this company came up, and it was, believe it or not, right in our backyard. So living in New Jersey, we also needed a company that could be within our wheelhouse. And so that's how we bought our first business, which was Howell Driving School in 2018. We knew nothing about the driving school industry or business, but it had a really solid foundation. The previous owners had really grown and developed it, but it didn't have a lot of professionalism, meaning that it was a good, solid business, but it had no website to speak of. Everything was manual. They were still writing their time on a piece of paper, They barely took credit cards. Like, it was like that, but it had a solid reputation, had been around since 1963.
Okay.
It was extremely well managed and had a huge following, word of mouth. And it was in the largest school district in the state of New Jersey, where it had 7 high schools and 14 other schools feeding into it. So, and then you had multifamily, kids where, the average household had 3 or 4 children. So you were getting everybody, plus done a lot of their parents. So we thought that this was a good deal. And from the day that we saw it in April to the time that we bought it was 2 months. And
Okay.
Back.
Oh, okay.
Bought the second one in 2019. They were friends, and the second owner was ready to get out. So then we bought the second one, and then COVID hit. And we recognized that we needed, 1, multiple streams of income, and 2, different areas. So that one is up, the one is down, that you're constantly having, something coming in. So we needed to diversify. So that's how we ended up purchasing the Mr. Handyman franchise.
Okay.
While the distribution and the process were actually quite similar, and they were in the same territory, they were certainly different business types. So that was important for us to diversify our portfolio. And then the fourth business was organic. I guess if you want to call it a side hustle, we talk about that all the time. I love planning trips and travel. I have been doing it for my family for many years. My nickname was Julie from the Love Boat because I was constantly telling people where to go, what to do, how to do it.
Oh, okay.
And
Wow.
they followed along. They paid their money and they came along, and we would have a great time. So I was the family planner. And then the travel agent that I use, she said, you should come in and really learn this business. So I did. So right around the time that I left corporate America, I also started working for another travel agent to
Oh, okay.
understand and learn the business. Well, again, when COVID hit, her business changed. She could not manage my clients the same way. And so she
Mhm.
said, go fly the coop and do
Oh,
your thing. And so Citra Travel was born, our first business that we grew organically. But we could do that at this point because we had the other
other,
businesses that
yeah.
we had established that were bringing in income. So I had time to develop it, and it has grown leaps and bounds. So, I would say, people say, are you an entrepreneur? I would say I'm probably a businesswoman with an entrepreneurial spirit,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
my goal is always, well, we have one goal is never to have to go back to corporate America. So we're constantly
That's my
moving,
goal.
shaking, to figure out how to make that happen. Now that's a true entrepreneur, right? If you can hustle,
That's my
figure
goal.
out how not to go back to having to get a 9 to 5, then yeah,
Yep.
you're in good shape. But the second piece is just taking businesses and developing them so that they're growing and they're reaching their highest potential. That's key. And we're constantly looking for the next thing.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
already talking about, okay, what's next? We don't want another physical thing to manage, but we're constantly thinking about, okay, where should our portfolio businesses go so that they all support each other, but more importantly, support us.
That's awesome.
Our
And what happened, and
family.
again, one of the things I wanted to really share with people is that, there's many different ways
Yeah.
to start your entrepreneur venture. Like myself, I
Yeah.
started with $1 and a dream, literally. That's all I had.
Yeah.
And for like last 10, 15 years,
Yeah.
I just been pounding the pavement, learning how to do it. I think Sir Richard Branson says this: if somebody give you an opportunity, say yes, then
Yeah.
figure out how to do it. That was
That's
my
right.
motto.
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew one thing. What started me was this. I left the military, and I was fortunate to get a check for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I was at home and saying, what else can I do for the next 7 years
Yeah.
that will provide me with a check for the rest of my life? And then I learned about entrepreneurship at the reading room, Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Yeah.
and then I went
Yes.
to work.
One of
But
my
again, so again,
favorite books.
yes, yes. So again, I started. So again, I started with Dollar Dream.
Yeah.
Tiffany started by coming out and investing in an already established business, which
Yeah.
that's one of my goals is to work this thing that's growing now, and then
Yeah.
get to the point where I can go find me another business that's already up and running
Yeah.
and build it. Because like yourself, I see businesses grow.
Yeah.
Take it from where it is right now, and
Yeah.
then have it go to a higher level. So
Yeah.
um
And
yeah,
what I would say is, it is an interesting thing, right? I was on another panel where a lot of the women, this was a woman's panel, entrepreneur panel, and they had, depending on how they got into it was dependent on, some were following a passion, which is
yeah,
one way of doing it. If you love making candles and making things and you make that into a business, great. But there's a certain point, right, where you probably won't be able to quit your job
yeah,
until it does something amazing or whatever, right? So that's one way of doing it, and there's nothing wrong with that, right?
no,
And but there's also others where, as you said, take an opportunity and go with it. It's like, okay, I see this as a way, I see a gap, I see and you'd be surprised how fast that grows as well.
yeah,
And then my route was, I was blessed to have worked many years in
mhm,
corporate America. I had saved lots of money from and I'll talk about financing in a way. I had saved it as part of like my 401k plan and my IRAs. And there's this they say I'll just say it this way, that someone back in the 80s started it because there were a lot of, I'll say, not us, who were trying to come out, buy businesses, and the cash that they had was sitting in their 401k and their IRA. And based off the tax law, you can't touch that until you retire. Otherwise, there's tax penalty.
Yeah.
Well, there's this law called the ROBS, which is a rollover for business, for businesses, and you can take monies from your 401k, your IRA, and if you invest it into a business, i.e. a franchise or purchase of a business, that money is tax-free. So
Wow.
it's investing in, instead of investing in a whole bunch of other businesses, you're investing in yourself. And so not a lot of us know about that opportunity. And so that was how we funded.
Oh, wow.
Basically all three of our businesses, along with seller financing, right? It wasn't all of it.
Yeah.
And the good news is I still have a good chunk of that money left that's growing and continuing to grow. But now it's helping us to foster and develop a whole nother range. And so what I would also say is, if you are interested in purchasing or whatever you may do, be creative, because you got to be able to truly, one, live. Ultimately, we got to live. We got to eat.
Oh, no doubt.
We got to pay mortgages. We got to do. But the financing piece, to me, is probably what breaks people the most. Of either underfunded or no funding at all, and then you're done before you ever even get started.
And what happened? I wanted to share this. That either way you start, start. Like myself, again, no entrepreneur experience, no sales experience. My first sales job was when I got out the military. I went down the street and I started selling vacuum cleaners, Kirby vacuum cleaners. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's real old school, Josh.
You know it. And I knew what I was doing. They said, you know what? They give us a class. You know what? If you talk to anybody, talk to the women, talk to the wives.
Yes. I remember somebody knocking on my mother's door and she bought whatever $800 Kirby vacuum. She probably still got that vacuum.
I almost stole one. I sold one to somebody, but then they talked to their husband, and I had to go pick it back.
You had to go pick it up. He's like, "Are you crazy?"
But
even if it might break, $100 one.
Yes. Yeah. So, but again, I'm not sure, but I didn't get discouraged because I'm like, okay, well,
But we all make those initial mistakes. I remember when I first got in, I'm a marketer by trade, right?
Yeah.
And someone called me, everyone was calling, getting money. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. So I sponsored some football team, and I got nothing out of it. And it was thousands. I was like, I wasted my $1,000. So we definitely live and learn on certain things. And but guess what? I won't ever make the same mistake twice.
No doubt about it. I learned the same thing. I'm like, it sounds good, but let's think about this for a minute.
Exactly.
But also, again, I want there's a scripture in the Bible that says this: the race is not given to the strong, nor to the intellect. I'm just paraphrasing, but time and chance happen to them both. I'm telling you, that's the only way it works. Yeah. Mark Zuckerberg is only successful with Facebook, just time and chance. Yeah. Bill Gates, same thing, time and chance. They had a dream, they had a passion or had an ideal, and they took a chance, and then just one thing led to another, and it took off. And like for example, I'm very familiar with the fact that sometimes you can have a business, but if you don't have the capital, you're gonna need capital to run a business, and as it grows. But let me tell you something. Again, I must let, because I'm an ordained minister. Yeah. I'm telling you, God is awesome, because God opened doors. He does. When I needed money, I'm telling you.
Yes. And I have seen it. Let me tell you, like, if depending on, like, I even think about COVID, right? Where it shut down like that. We had no money. We had no idea what was happening. We borrowed to make our last payroll because that's how
Mm,
instant the shutdown was. But we were like, you
yeah,
know what? We at least have to take care of our people.
yeah.
But you know what? As you said, God opens doors.
I'm telling you.
When I say the next week, PPP, grant money, I mean, it was like it came flooding in. And
Yeah.
actually, it was a blessing because it had us rethink how we would do our business. And it was a
Mm,
stopgap to show which way. And so, as you said, when one door closes, another opens. But
yeah.
we were like, in 1 week, like, we don't know what we're going to do. To the next week, it was like, okay, here's the plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
God,
that
I
was
think
all
God.
God. That was all
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
So, but I like you said that one of the reasons why you decided to um take your entrepreneurial journey was because you wanted more time.
Yeah.
You didn't want to go back and forth to New York.
Yeah.
It's not that you have a degree. Like I have a degree also in counseling and psychology.
Yeah.
But again, I just think this is a better way. To make your money work for you.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned. I like it's way better when you get your money to be
Yeah.
working for you. I mean, it feels so much better.
Yeah. And when you work for yourself, right? You know, the buck stops with you.
Yeah.
You know, my husband and I, we talk about this all the time, that a mediocre employee is never going to be an excellent entrepreneur because they don't have the drive and the will
Yeah.
to be able to get it moving and going the way they need to. So you have to have that fortitude to be able to say, I'm willing to do anything and everything to make this work and get it done.
Oh yeah.
Because the buck stops with you. People are dependent on you. You are dependent on you. And so, as you said, there's some luck to it, but there's also, you got to have a drive that says,
Oh
no
yeah.
matter what, I'm gonna make this work.
Oh no doubt. Again, I want to encourage everybody that you may have a dream, but the only way that dream is going to come alive is that you had to be 100% committed to do whatever. I mean, look the example. When COVID hit, right? I have a delivery service.
Yeah.
And one of our biggest customers, we deliver to hospitals and doctors' offices. We deliver breast implants.
Yeah.
Of course, when COVID hit, they stopped all elective surgeries.
Wow.
Guess what?
That's right. Yes.
I went on phone calls.
Yeah.
But same thing, what I did, I went to Amazon. Amazon said we're hired, no resume, no interview. I said, no what? Sign me up. And I worked Amazon during that time. As a matter of fact, I stayed for about a year or two.
Yeah.
Nobody like I was coming to meetings every morning. But hey, you know what? You had to be 100% committed. Like myself, myself and Tiffanie, we go to a meeting in Freehold every Thursday morning to build relationships.
We go from opposite ends of the state. I'm in the northern part, and Rev J is in the southern part, and we come into the middle.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're driving over an hour to get to this meeting.
Yep, because guess what? Has 100 business owners in there, so you can see why.
Yeah.
Numbers do matter.
Yes, they do. Right. At the end of the day, it does, and but you have to be, as you said, committed to it, and anything that's worth doing, you got to put all your heart, mind, and soul into it. Otherwise it's just not gonna, one, you're not gonna be happy with the results, and two, and if again, if it fails, then you learn something. Guess what? Get back up, start again, do something else. Certainly don't or shift gears. Or also, it's important to know if something isn't right, where to cut ties so you can move in the next level. Because you also, if there's something that's holding in that space, you also can't build or move if it's blocking away. So you also have to know when to cut ties as well.
And I did over the years. I've done many different entrepreneurial ventures. I did taxes at one time. I did travel. I can tell a story. I was doing group travel at one time. But yeah, as a matter of fact, my delivery service, I started this back in 2004. And I was working it. And then the crash happened in 2008. I had to stop because I lost all my business customers. And I started doing something else, selling cars. But then again, I still had this desire to do delivery service. So I restarted this back up in like 2010, and it's been rocking ever since. So again, you got to know when to cut something, know when to keep it. If it's not working, if it's not actually growing, hey, one thing about business is this: you can't make it personal. I'm sure Tiffanie, if somehow the economy changes, the world can't changes, and driving schools are no longer relevant, I'm sure she would somehow.
We'll figure it out. So we always say, like, even if it's an electric car, somebody has to know how to manage it and process it. And so we'd have to shift gears to, okay, this is how you manage an electric car, whatever it may be, or a driverless car, whatever it is. Someone, you can't be a dummy just sitting there. Someone has to know how to work the control.
Well, matter of fact, I think Tiffanie offers like defensive driving classes. Talk about that real quick.
So as part of to adults, seasoned adults, we offer a defensive driving course, and it's a 6-hour course that I get in 2 hours, and so it's definitely worth your time. But what it gives you is tools, tips and tricks and tools that help us just be better drivers, but also, again, drive defensively to keep you and your family safe. And it's a benefit to it. You get if you have points on your license, you get up to 2 points off your license, and you get 5 to 10% off your insurance for good 4 or 5 years. So there's some benefit to it beyond. And everyone that when we do research and ask what did they think of the course, people always find it beneficial because they learn something, or just things that we haven't thought about or we've forgotten. It comes into play. It just makes it more, more relevant.
That's awesome. So again, that's I think you started during COVID, right?
So the previous owner had defensive driving courses, but what I did change during COVID is I made it a Zoom call. So before it was in person, which is hard, right? I mean, especially during COVID. So when I shifted, I actually had to build a course to make it virtual. It wasn't like that before, and I'm the only one in the state that has a virtual defensive driving course that I could do anytime, anywhere, any place.
See, I'm telling you, you gotta be in it to win it.
Exactly. And I get calls all the time because there are online courses, but they just aren't the same.
Okay.
Live course where you're talking, because the beauty of it is about the interaction between you, the other student, and the instructor, not just taking a course where information that you probably have known or forgotten is just thrown at you.
Oh, okay. Now, everyone, guess what? If you ever want to get in contact with Tiffanie or reach out to her, the links to all her businesses are in the description box. So she's located primarily in her businesses are located primarily in Monmouth County and Ocean County.
Monmouth, Middlesex, and Ocean counties is where we serve.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So my part of town too.
And the future travel is global, so we can travel anywhere, as they say. Yep. And that's they say 24 hours, 24/7 business.
That's awesome. So again, hey guys, we just wanted to come on and really encourage you. It is encourage you to if you have a dream of starting a business, go for it. Look at this. You can keep your day job while you build your business, or have your day job, save some money, then find yourself a business to invest in that's already bringing in money, which is even better. There'll still be some learning curves you got to learn.
And know what your end game is, right? At the end of the day, if you know what it will take for you, if you really want to do it full time, how big does that business have to grow in order for you to get there? You know what I mean? So know what that looks like. Know where you can live. Obviously, it helps to have a little bit of savings as well. Yeah. But sometimes, as Rev J said, 100% in is so much easier sometimes than having 2 feet in different places. But you have to make the right decision for you, ultimately. When we came out, I came out in 2018. My husband left corporate America 2019. There was no way we could both do it at the same time, right? We had to plan and strategize.
Yeah.
Insurance was a huge thing, right?
Yeah.
We had insurance through his job. So we had to figure out some things before we did it. But now that we're both in, we never want to go back. And it's been the best decision for us, our family, and our lives that we've ever made. So if you want to do it, go for it, because the world is open to us and you can do anything that you want.
Let me tell you something. I guess like the show is called Entrepreneurship, A Better Way. Yo, I think this is the best way to live. I'm telling you. Absolutely. I wish someone had told me this when I was growing up. Yeah. I think if someone had told me this when I was growing up, I'd have been in the military, somehow started a business or something.
Yeah. And our parents grew up in a time where they worked for the same company, for 30 years, and then they retired, and then and so for us to be in this place where we're just, it's a wonderful thing, but we stand on their shoulders, right? Because
no doubt
they taught us how to be independent, be able to do anything that we want.
No doubt, no doubt. I agree. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed the show. We're going to wrap it up. You have any last words, Tiffanie, for someone who's inspired to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, if anyone wants to hear more about my story or want to learn anything about, like the financing that I talked about, Rob's, or anything about, women in business, minorities in business, I'm happy to share anything that I've learned over the course of the, my 25 years in business, but also the last 5 years being an entrepreneur. I'm happy to share, because I would love for everyone who wants to be there to do it and follow their dreams.
Well, matter of fact, Mom, maybe a couple months we'll have you back on to talk about some of those specific things about how they get that stuff started. And get those certifications, because those are huge, especially when you got big companies looking at you. They have money government have money set aside for Black-owned businesses. But again, you must have those certifications. Matter of fact, we have you on to come talk about how a person may go about getting that stuff.
Yeah, because a lot of us don't set, one of the things I would say, and this will be my last part, a lot of us don't have our businesses set up in the right way. So getting them, figuring out, is it an LLC? Is it a C Corp? Is it an S Corp? Making sure you have the right things in place is truly important. Having a good accountant, because you do not want to be somebody on the news, because you didn't pay taxes. Having that person in place, making sure you have the right team in place, even when you can't afford it, is going to be invaluable, because that setup piece is only going to take you so much further than if you didn't do it right in the first place. So that would be, if you're thinking about a business, think about the way that you want to do it. How do you want it to be? And then set it up so that you have the right organization in place.
That's awesome. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Tiffanie, thank you for coming on.
No, thank you for inviting me, Josh. It was great.
No problem. We're definitely gonna have you back on probably a couple weeks or a couple months, see when you're available. But for now, we'll see everybody later and talk to you soon. God bless.
All right, let's talk. Bye-bye.